Have you ever wondered how habits are really formed? I mean, what's actually going on in your brain? Well, today, we're going to meet the two key players inside your head who are basically battling for control over your actions. A super ambitious CEO and a very particular librarian. Let's dive in.
We've all been there, right? You get this burst of motivation. You decide you're going to start working out, or meditating, or maybe learn a language. Day 1, you're on fire. But by day 3, it feels like you are pushing a giant boulder uphill. So why is that? It turns out it's not a failure of willpower. It's actually a feature of how your brain is designed. So to really get this, let's imagine your brain is a company. Up in the fancy corner office, you've got the CEO. That's your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of you that sets those big, ambitious goals and loves tackling complex new problems. But here's the catch. It gets tired, really easily. And then, deep down in the basement archives, you have the librarian. That's your basal ganglia. The librarian is ancient, incredibly efficient, and has one mission and one mission only: to save energy by turning absolutely everything into a repeatable pattern. So how does this whole process even kick off? Well, it all starts upstairs, in the C-suite. This is phase 1, the CEO's grand plan, where all the big ideas are born.
The CEO is fired up. They have a vision. This is that Monday morning energy, that moment of pure inspiration where you declare your new goal to the world. It's all motivation and big picture thinking, driven completely by that ambitious, goal-setting part of your brain.
Now here is why that initial push is so draining. On day 1, the CEO has to personally manage every single detail. We're talking finding your workout clothes, remembering the route to the gym, trying to figure out how the heck that weird leg press machine works. Every tiny decision is a brand new, complex task, and it requires the CEO's full, undivided, and very expensive attention. And this, right here, is the key. That feeling of being totally wiped out, it's real. Your prefrontal cortex, the CEO, is an absolute gas guzzler. It burns through a massive amount of your body's glucose and oxygen. So when you start something new, you're running the most power-hungry part of your brain at full blast. No wonder it feels so hard.
But, and here's the cool part, while the CEO is upstairs burning all that fuel, something else, something much quieter and more methodical, is happening in the background. Welcome to the librarian's domain, where the real magic is about to start.
See, the librarian is not impressed by the CEO's motivational speech. They don't understand getting fit or being healthier. The librarian is just watching from the shadows, looking for one thing and one thing only: repetition. They are the ultimate pattern recognition machine.
And the specific pattern that the librarian is searching for? It's called the habit loop. It's a beautifully simple 3-part script. First, there's a trigger, which we call the cue. Then there's the action itself, the routine. And finally, the prize you get at the end, the reward. So day after day, as the CEO is brute forcing this morning workout, the librarian starts connecting the dots. They're thinking, aha, I see what's happening here. When the alarm clock goes off, that's the cue. We put on these specific shoes, that's the routine, and then afterward, we get this nice rush of endorphins and that delicious cup of coffee, that's the reward. And just like that, a new file is created.
Okay, so after a few weeks of this, something really cool starts to happen. The CEO, who, remember, loves new and complex challenges, starts getting bored with this whole morning workout thing. It's not new anymore, it's predictable. So the CEO's attention starts to drift to other, more interesting problems, like that big project at work.
And this is the moment the librarian has been waiting for. They step in and basically tap the CEO on the shoulder and say, "Don't worry, you go handle that big project. I've got this down here. I've turned this whole complicated process into one simple automatic script." And that's it. That's the secret handover. The action moves from conscious effort to subconscious automation.
And what this slide shows is literally what's happening physically in your brain. The neural pathways for that habit get stronger and more efficient every time you do it. What was once like hacking your way through a dense jungle with a machete is now a smooth, paved, 8-lane superhighway. All the librarian has to do is hit go.
So, the handover is complete, the habit feels automatic. Awesome. But what does it really take to maintain it? Let's dive into how habits actually work for the long haul and clear up some pretty common myths.
You have probably heard this one a million times. It takes 21 days to form a habit. It's a nice, clean number, it sounds great, but unfortunately, it's more of a myth than it is a scientific fact.
The actual science from research by a psychologist named Philippa Lally shows that, on average, it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become truly automatic. And listen to that key phrase, on average. For some people in simpler habits, it might be 18 days. For others with more complex habits, it could take over 250 days. So please don't beat yourself up if you're not an expert on day 22.
This is the question that trips up so many of us. You're on a roll, you've been consistent, and then you miss one day because you're sick or you're busy and you think, well, that's it, I failed, back to square one. But is that really what's happening in your brain?
No way! Absolutely not. The librarian is far too efficient to just throw away a perfectly good script. Missing a day doesn't destroy your progress. That neural highway you built, it is still there. Maybe a few tiny weeds are popping up on the shoulder, but the road is totally intact.
All that's happened is that the script wasn't activated for one day. That's it. The librarian is just patiently waiting, holding on to that file, just listening for the next time that cue, that alarm clock goes off. You have to remember, this system is designed for consistency, not perfection, and that's a huge difference.
So what's the real moral of the story here? It's that you don't force a habit into existence. You create the right conditions for it to grow on its own. So first, give your exhausted CEO a break by starting ridiculously small, like so small you can't possibly say no. Think 2 minutes. Second, help the librarian out by making the cue as obvious and consistent as possible. And third, and this is so important, pay your brain with an immediate reward to close that habit loop and tell the librarian, hey, this script, this is a keep.
This whole process isn't about some massive, heroic effort. It's about making small, smart, consistent steps that teach your brain's super-efficient librarian a new script. So the only question left is this: what's the first, tiny, 2-minute habit you're going to teach yours?